Hi, I'm Aaron Ra. As a former official representative of American Atheists and then president of Atheist Alliance of America, I've often mentioned how atheists are the least trusted demographic in this country, such that my countrymen are more likely to elect a Muslim than an atheist, and Muslims are right down there with us as the two most hated minorities in the nation. But one thing I've never done is compare my situation to someone else's and say, "Oh, woe is me, I'm so disadvantaged, I'm so put upon." Because even in the worst moments of my life, I've noticed that I didn't have to look very far to find someone, several people, in much worse circumstances than me. For example, what if I was still an atheist, but instead of being an ex-Christian like most other people here, what if I was an ex-Muslim? I mean, double jeopardy, right? I mean, my God, but yours is a difficult situation. Why did I say my God? I don't have a God. Because I've been so inculcated by my upbringing and religious culture that even my behavioral responses are conditioned for religious epithets. I hate when I do that. God damn it. But yeah, y'all got it tough. You don't have many friends, maybe family either, and you got a lot of enemies. Y'all got it much worse than me. I mean, I'm lucky enough to be in this country's dominant demographic physically. It's just my belief, or rather lack thereof, regarding the various religious claims that is the problem. So I wouldn't even have a problem if I could just make myself believe. Or maybe I could just do what so many other Christians do and just pretend to believe so that I never have a problem. So I can get some votes and not have to worry about losing my teaching job or other such things over an opinion, and a well-substantiated and better justified opinion than that of my judges, too. But I was raised in a Mormon family. How could I make myself Mormon? How could anybody make themselves believe that? Can you imagine me showing up at your doorstep to tell you the true message of God as relayed through the writings of a convicted fraud who says that God lives on the planet Kolob? How does anybody say all that with a straight face? It's as silly as believing in talking snakes or flying horses. Yeah, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could. I mean, I just have to learn to lie. I mean, everybody lies, right? I mean, it should be easy. Could I make myself into a Mormon, like the rest of my family? Oh, fuck, I'd have to cut my hair. You can't have hair like this as a Mormon. I'd have to put on one of those stupid white shirts, too, and be clean-shaven, right? Because I'd look like such a complete dweeb. I would look like my stepdad. And no beer either? Why would anybody buy into a religion with such restrictive prohibitions? Still, being a Muslim would be worse, and being an ex-Muslim is even worse than that. If you don't just go from one faith to another, but walk away from faith altogether, as all reasonable people should, then they call that an apostate. Maybe they just want it to sound scary, so scary that you won't even think about it. But you know what they call a former Mormon? A foreman. Not only does that sound silly and harmless, it's even empowering. Being a foreman doesn't carry the stigma of being an ex-Muslim apostate, because no one in my Mormon family wants to kill me over this. First off, they just don't talk to me anymore, and I can live with that, literally. But I can even go back to Utah and still be perfectly safe, even if I stand on the street corner and tell everybody that the prophet Joseph Smith was a polygamist with wives as young as 14 years old. Who ever heard of such an immoral pervert as that founding a religion? I've even been to the Mormon temple, the most sacred place in the world for Mormons in Salt Lake City, and I could still challenge their beliefs openly, out loud. You mean to tell me that your prophet received divine revelation direct from God? Okay, except it wasn't direct from God, was it? It came from the angel Moroni. Moroni? Why did God need to send an angel? I mean, surely you don't believe anything so stupid, right? I mean, isn't God supposed to be omnipresent and omnipotent and telepathic? If he isn't, why did he need to send an angel? Why does he need a middleman? Isn't God everywhere? Isn't he already in your head? Is he only in your head? Is that why he needs you to do all his work and enforce his law? Let him do that himself, if he could ever do anything at all. Now, I can say all of that because I'm only an ex-Christian and not an ex-Muslim apostate, and because I live in what is still a comparatively free country. I've been to a few that were not, where they force conformity with the religion imposed by the state, and the people cannot question that without risk of incarceration or worse. One thing that many of my countrymen don't seem to understand is that we're talking about nations that not only force submission to laws that are religious and therefore both unjustified and unjust, but that you must also show respect for that religion, no matter how absurd or repugnant it is, or no matter how criminal the laws are. And in some cases, you're even required by law to believe it, even when it is unbelievable, so that in those places it is possible to commit and be punished for thought crime. The most basic freedom anyone can have is the freedom to think, and not to have to lie whenever someone asks what you think about certain things, so that you can believe whatever makes sense to you, and change your mind when it doesn't make sense anymore. This is the barest minimum that we all must have. Yet religion prohibits this however it can. Because God is a naked emperor living in a house of cards. And how fragile must both of these otherwise indefensible ideas be if they need laws to protect them? You know what a free country is? It's one where apostasy and blasphemy is not a crime, it's a right.